That happens to me, Mr. Efe Warns. He's the CEO of Now Music and the chairman of COSAN. Thank you so much, sir, for meeting us today. How are you?
Very good.
How's your day going?
Fantastic so far.
Okay, so let's dive right into the main issue. Okay, so what is the real bane of discord in COSAN office?
Simple, straightforward scenario. We have a board. We have a non-executive chairman. The board oversees the activities of the management, as it is with every properly structured corporate organization. A couple of things were brought to our notice via a petition authored by a few of our very respected as senior members. And in the concern that emanated from the petition established clearly that the infractions have been committed by the board, and by extension, the then chairman of the board. Okay. Because the petition was against the entire board. It wasn't directed at any specific person. Now, our conversations and investigation reveal that most of the actions that we've been accused of perpetrating against what should be the standard practice of the society were infractions committed by a few, and not every one of us.
Because I was about to ask if it was everyone, or
no, of course, not everyone.
Okay.
So we made a resolution. Of course, we needed to cure those breaches. We needed to reach out to the members who are aggrieved. We needed to repair whatever damage that had been caused. It was obvious that the principal actor in that conversation was neither taking responsibility nor trying to make amends. So, of course, as a board, it was within our rights, our power to request for the then chairman to step down. We made the request. He didn't accept it, which he had the right to refuse to accept. Then we put it to vote, and he was voted out as chairman. That was on December 7th, 2017. Okay. He was voted out as chairman, and I mean, there can be a vacuum on the board. So immediately he was voted out, was sacked. The next action was the nomination and the votes for a new chairman. So I was voted in as chairman, to replace him immediately. And we set about the business of trying to cure solve the problems that, we have technically created. But we were concerned about stability. We're concerned about the image of the society. So we've thought there's no point in, we've eased out the chairman, so there's no point in overhyping the process. So we put out a press statement. There's been a change of guard at COSAN. We did not publish the infractions. We did not go public with the details of why the former chairman was sacked. But that turned out to be a mistake, because instead of honorably accepting the decision of fellow board members and moving on, Okoroji orchestrated his return, his reinstatement as chairman by hijacking an EGM that was set up, that was called to basically deliver on one agenda, which was to seek the consent of the General Assembly, the approval for the proposed amount to be distributed as royalties for 2017. They turned that EGM, Emergency General Meeting, into an AGM in quotes, and purportedly sacked, the board, reinstated Okoroji, as sole administrator. They had sacked the board before it dawned on them that if there's no board, then you can't bring back a chairman. The chairman the chairman is a product of the board. You have a board, and the board chooses a chairman. So if you do not have a board, you don't have a chairman of the board because there's no board, right? So yeah, so they went on and did a couple of other things that have been since February. Has been
clearly, last month.
Yes,
okay.
Since February has been clearly ruled as illegal, as null and void by our regulator, which is the NCC. We wrote the petition after Okoroji's action. We didn't think it was wise to make too much noise. We didn't think it was wise to get in, roll on the mud and fight dirty. So we petitioned our regulator. We are a CMO, a collective management organization. We're a corporate body. We're not an association of whatever. So there are rules and processes. We have a regulator. So we petitioned the regulator. Fortunately, the regulator had representation at the December 7 meeting. The regulator had representation also at the December 19 EGM. So it really wasn't a matter of what we said. It was also a consideration of what the representatives of the NCC were at the meeting, what they saw, so they made their verdict, and they declared the actions, the resolutions passed on December 19, except for the approval of the 206 million figure for royalty. They declared every action, every resolution null and void, every other resolution null and void. And you would expect that for someone who talks about the rule of law, how society should function, how people should not abuse their offices and all of that, how champion of, copyright, the oppressed Nigerian, and you'd expect that for a group of people like that, you expect that they respect the position of the regulators, and if they agree, they will look for proper legal channels, to establish their grievance. But of course, Okoroji has refused to comply with the directive of his regulator, of our regulator. Okay. So it's technically saying that he has above regulation, he's above the law. It's his perspective that is law. Anything that's not his perspective, cannot work.
So what you're saying is he's still not accepting that?
Oh, of course he's not accepting, that he still parades himself as COSON chairman. He's still running a parallel board, even though his board members are selected, and which is an aberration because at COSON, directors necessarily have to be elected, but there was no election. There were a couple of people he handpicked, people who were cool with him, people who would support, people who do not have as much information, as they ought to have about him and his actions, people who do not know fully why he was sacked, people who are not likely to ask the right kind of questions that, directors should ask. Maybe people who probably don't even qualify, to be directors, people who do not have the level of confidence and exposure that is required to serve on the board of an organization like COSON. Yeah, so Okoroji just basically handpicked his cronies and made them directors of a public institution, and is having a field day. Okay,
so what are you going to do towards that? Or what are you going to do about it?
We are, there's a whole lot of things going on. We have kept our channels very legal, very proper, very formal. We've held a board meeting. We've made our resolutions, public. The GM has been, suspended. We've made all the resolutions. We've requested, we made a resolution over the full forensic audit of the COSON accounts, and we've communicated to all the relevant bodies. We have written to our banks. Any bank, any COSON banker that is still honoring checks signed by Okoroji and his appointed board members, in due time they would answer to it, because they've been formally communicated to. The people who are dealing with Okoroji's board as agents or whoever, I mean, when it comes 360 full cycle, they would have to account for their actions. The people who are serving on the board of COSON and acting as directors and doing Okoroji's bidding, they've been formally informed also that their actions are illegal and could even be criminal. So, I mean, you can grandstand, you can do what you want, you can, but after all is said and done, there's a nation of laws. We have regulation, we have a regulator, we have processes. So you cannot politicize everything. Everything cannot be about politics. These are clear issues of infractions, of impropriety, financial impropriety. Someone, has been deemed to have, a judge to have committed, breaches in process, in procedure, particularly as it affects funds. We're a collecting society. COSON is not one person's business. COSON is not a limited liability company. It's not a sole proprietorship. COSON is not an association of musicians, unfortunately. COSON is a company limited by guarantee. It is regulated the way every proper corporate body is regulated. So you cannot, the kinds of things that Okoroji does or that he's doing, they are not acceptable. They're not acceptable in any organized, sane, setup. You cannot be chairman, you cannot be a director of a company and be chairman of the board of a public institution and award contracts to your own personal company, and serve as agent and serve as vendor and serve as consultant and serve as contractor to the society. You cannot do that. And if for any reason you find if you create some purpose-built vehicle to even make that happen, then there are clear processes for what's the word now, for procurement, right? You cannot wake up in the morning and say, I run this company, right? This is my personal company, and we are the only ones who can produce a documentary. We are the only ones that can produce, a publication. We are the only ones that can organize events. In short, our events are better than anybody else's event. Our events are cheaper than any other person's. You can't, of course, you can't say that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So if you know anything about, say, the COSON Week, for example, the COSON Week is a Tony Okoroji, productions, event. Okay. And the process and the understanding was basically simple. The board initially allowed the COSON Week to happen based on the condition that it would be, the company responsible for putting the events together would have the result of sourcing for the funding 100%, right? We would not use COSON funds. We would not use monies that we've collected from users that are meant for distribution to right owners. We would not use such monies to do events, right? But Okoroji has always found a way around creating those events, executing the events and making COSON, pay for the events, and all of that. And those are the issues. Those are the issues that are unacceptable.
Okay, so when he makes use of the company funds, do you tend to get back money into the COSON account, or?
he just takes the money out.
Oh, he takes the money out.
Yeah, they just sign the money out. It's just a simple process of abuse. It's a simple process of abuse. Okoroji has appropriated, the whole COSON machinery like his personal stuff. So he decides what moves from point A to point B. He creates the reason. Okoroji is supposed to be a non-executive chairman of a board, but if you attend a regular COSON board meeting, Okoroji is chief executive. Okoroji presents the report to the board. Instead of allowing the general manager, management to present a report to the board and have, board members deliberate and make decisions, accordingly, Okoroji messes up the process by usurping the role of the general manager, sugarcoating, packaging, and presenting management actions to fellow board members. So if, for example, you are not, if you're not well informed, or if you defer too much to him, if you cannot, the way you will sit in a board meeting and question management. Why is this like this? Why did this happen at so-and-so time? If it's your so-called chairman, Chief Okoroji, that is presenting all that stuff to you, if you're not self-confident, if you're not someone that is not condescending, that would not, you would not be able to challenge it. So Okoroji has run COSON as an extension of his personal company. And what we've said is enough is enough. It has to stop. Yeah, so every other thing is smoke and mirrors. All that talk or every other thing is smoke and mirrors. Okoroji is running away from it. Okoroji is trying to avoid an audit. We've called for a forensic audit. The big thing is this is not a tussle for chairmanship. No, it's not a tussle for chairmanship. If I've said this time and again, give me full forensic audits in place in return for my resignation as chairman. You have it.
Okay, so what you're saying, if he brings the full...
If the regulator, whoever is in charge of this industry, if they said there's a logjam and they need a resolution, and they call me to a table and they say, okay, Efe, we want you to relinquish your claim, we want you to renounce your claim to the chairmanship of COSON. What do you want in exchange for that? What's that one thing that we'll give to you and you just walk away and, renounce your rights to the office of the chairmanship? I'll tell you one thing, a full forensic audit.
That's all?
That's all I want. If I get a full forensic audit, it doesn't matter who's chairman. 200 times over the position of chairmanship, even the position on the board of COSON.
Okay. So are there possibilities of getting the office back together? What are the steps taken?
Okoroji is not COSON. COSON is not Okoroji. Okoroji is not the regulator. Okoroji's actions are dangerous to the society. The people who are supporting him, they need to understand the implication of what they're doing. For us to operate as COSON, we needed to apply for a license. Right? We sought and got approval from the NCC. Okay. We were recently in court with the NCC and the Ministry of Justice. Why? Because the NCC granted approval to MCSN to operate. You cannot operate a CMO without a license. And the license is the instrument through which the government regulates, the society. It's like saying I have a lot of money, I have shareholders, so I can set up a bank. You cannot operate a bank without license from the CBN. You cannot operate a bank without regulation from the CBN. If the CBN has laws that you're unhappy with, there are channels to deal with that. You cannot refuse. You cannot assume that you are above regulation, right? What Okoroji is doing is a threat to COSON. Okoroji is flaunting the regulations of the regulator. And people, you must actually say, why is it so important to him to be chairman? And I say it boldly, it's so important for Okoroji. Okoroji is flaunting this or Okoroji is making a mockery of the entire structure, entire system that supports the COSON that he claims to love to death, because he's afraid. He has something to hide. If he doesn't have anything to hide, it's a very simple challenge. Okoroji, Chinedu, let them I mean, he claims doesn't have an office in Kosan, right? So let him just stay away. Let the two of them stay away for 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks, and just allow an audit. I promise I won't go there. Just get the NCC, get the auditing firm, go in there, check the accounts, work with the bank, check the processes, procurement, payments, claims, everything. Just allow that happen. Then once because if you say if your calling card, if what you communicate to the public is this image of this guy who's forthright, who is incorruptible, who's always doing things the right way, who's a stickler for all that stuff, and you're unwilling to subject yourself to external audits, then, I mean, who's fooling who?
Okay. So tell me, what is the next level for Kosan in the entertainment scene?
Okoroji, as I said, people should prevail on Okoroji not to destroy Kosan. His position has the potential to destroy the society. His position can force the regulator to withdraw the license of Kosan. If Kosan does not have a license, Kosan cannot function. Kosan goes straight into administration. The office is shut down. So you cannot, what Okoroji is doing is illegal. What Okoroji is doing is dangerous. The fact that we are not rolling on the mud with him should not communicate fear or weakness. We know that the facts would vindicate our position. We are confident. I hear Okoroji has sued me. As I speak to you, I've not been served. I hear rumors of court cases and court cases and court cases and court cases. I have not been served. This is my office. Since I returned from the UK, I've been here almost every day. I've not been served. Okoroji should call for a forensic audit to clear his name. It's a very simple thing. If people level accusations of financial impropriety against you, you sitting there fighting, holding the keys, shutting the place down, locking yourself inside would not vindicate you. The more you do that, the stronger the signals you send out that you have something to hide. So please, come clean and allow and encourage a full forensic audit so your name can be properly cleared.
Thank you so much, sir. It was nice having this talk with you.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much for letting us come here and interview you.
Anytime.
So, we're going to have a nice day, sir.